Okay, there we go. Weird, slight technical issues. We're going to actually get straight into the draft. Hello to those that have actually found the way to this channel. This is game one between NaVi versus Winstrike for the Stockholm Major CIS Qualifiers. I'm KillerPigeon. Joining me in the casting seat, he's decided to wake up very early only to find out there's technical issues and we're not quite on the BTS channel yet. It's Nahaz. Hello.
Good morning. Oh boy. Well, it wouldn't be a day at Dota without something going wrong.
That is true. That is true. I mean, you know, we could blame it somehow on the patch for adding firecrackers. Yeah, it's Valve's fault.
I feel like I got a certain amount of negative karma because we just had a major in China with basically zero tech issues, at least none that the people watching saw. So, you know, I feel like I'm owed a little bit of this.
True. We do need to balance the scales.
I'm sorry I didn't warn you about that before we agreed to cast together.
I mean, you know, it's like to be honest, Calm was already looking weird, right? Like most of my, you know, primary casters I cast with were already in Sweden. You were the last one on the list, buddy. Before I started expanding.
Understand. I understand.
Not in a bad way. I actually realized how bad that sounded. I was like, you were the last on the list right there. Sorry.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of locked out. Whoops.
Enchantress.
Well, okay. So either we are reading a lot into the patch notes here, or this is a draft from like 5 patches ago. But hey, I'll take it. I am eager to see Bambi.
Everyone hates Darks here or loves it in this draft. Like you see Winstrike, they pick the Oracles. Like, okay, we got Darks here. No Dispel now, and they go, oh no, what, Captain? I forgot the Enchantress is now a hero again. I mean, this Bambi got buffed pretty hard, right? Like with the enchant cooldown.
I mean, yeah, level 1 enchant cooldown, what, 33 seconds? That's a lot. And I don't. There were some people who were puzzled about her being completely out of the meta in the last patch. So, you know, I don't mind it. The real question to me is she viable as an offlaner again? Because that's, you know, we were not subtle at all in the meta at the end of the last patch. And one of the things that you saw happening at Chongqing is kind of transitioning back to elements from metas past, where these offlaners were starting to have to go 1v2 and occasionally even 1v3 again. And, you know, teams were scrambling to figure out what offlaners in that situation are not going to get completely crapped on. And Winstrike is just going full meme. This is like from when 7.20 first came out. We were getting AoE Surge bulldoze. Now, you know, you might blame Puppy for bringing a little bit of that back, which had nothing to do with Spirit Breaker, but just winning with a, you know, 5 melee stack, you know, super aura AoE Surge strat. But hey, I'll take it. This is going to be interesting.
I mean, you know, it's not super crazy. They've at least refrained from picking up the Ogre Magi.
Gosh.
Hey, I've done it. It's pretty filthy. You basically take 2/3 of a Void's health and laugh. Then you never strike him to finish him off.
Well, yeah, you know, that would be pub Dota for you. But no, I'll take it. I think this is I'm interested to see how this Navi draft worked. One of the replays that I caught from them yesterday, they had magical mid. Oh gosh, I forget which end of the OD matchup he was on. No, I think he was against an OD and an Earth Spirit, and he just got absolutely crushed as a Viper. So I think Navi are placing a very high priority on securing that mid lane, which is absolutely fine to me.
Yeah, I mean, Raze is kind of a safe option at the moment. This hero is pretty frustrating with the changes to his passive now being an AoE. It does allow you to harass out heroes pretty effectively while chasing them down.
Well, yeah, and when you mentioned chasing down, right, and that's a lot of what Razor does, and that attack backswing change is potentially very nice in that regard. Just making it a little bit easier to attack move if you're, you know, if you're a newbie, and even potentially for the pros that can matter in situations where you're being slowed, you're being stunned, and your timing might be a little bit off for attack moving.
Let's also not forget that the latest patch did kind of spit in the face of anything that's not agility again. Now Agi heroes.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
well, they're gonna gain more speed is the point I was gonna make, and like with a hero like Razor, like this is a king of movement, right? Like this was the weird thing about trying to pick him last patch is every Agi hero and other heroes similarly could get very fast. And then that meant that one of the biggest advantages you used to get out of Razor was no longer there, that he's a speed car.
Well, the big thing, right? So the agility gains to movement speed are there, but they're not necessarily huge. Really, to me, the thing about last patch is that heroes with low base movement speed were really in a bad place, because most modifiers rather to movement speed, everything was percentage based, including items. And so if you started off as a hero with low base MS and didn't have this ridiculous agi gain, you ended up in a place where you start with a lower number and you applied a bunch of percentage bonuses on top of it, and you're never going to get to a place where you start with a higher number and apply those same bonuses. That's math, guys. Hashtag analysis. So I actually think that is going to be a lot better balanced in this patch, just because they reverted all of this items and everything else percentage-based insanity back to what it used to be.
Yeah, maybe we hopped in the time machine and we meant to go back a few months, went back a few years. I mean, we've got Tidehunter Raze in this game. You got Luna on the other side as well. That is a race car in itself.
I mean, as in this patch, in the patch notes in general. And this is really, I don't know, we'll have some downtime, I'm sure, in some of these casts in the next couple of days to talk about just how unusual this is. I mean, people that may be newer to Dota may not realize that you go back a couple years, and I mean, it was periods of multiple years in between IceFrog actually reverting a change. I have never before seen a patch that reverted this many changes.
Yeah, he's kind of been infamous for taking a different route, right? It's that stubborn person's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I think this, however, does need changing. It'll be like, okay, Enchantress got a base movement speed increase. I'm not going to revert that because she's too strong. I'll reduce armor. These type of things. It was never a direct counter to what you done.
And you know, it's funny because you can cast it as stubbornness, and I certainly did when I first started analyzing Dota. Over time, though, I kind of thought it was smart, because what happens is you are rebalancing. You're constantly shooting at a moving target, right? Because you're changing balance and the meta is adjusting. And I actually thought, and I had a couple of pro players tell me they preferred that if you're going to undo a buff, that you actually go and you do something a little bit different, because they had already adjusted their play style to a new thing, and having it go back the way it was just felt really annoying. Whereas adjusting to something different, it sort of felt like you were just refining your mastery of the hero. I know that it sounds weird, and it sounded weird to me at the time. This was a couple years ago, but over time I sort of learned to appreciate that argument.
I think the best way to look at it is it's progressive, right? It's progressive development over regressive. You don't want to be going over the same thing, because that does turn the game pretty stagnant. It's like instantly you go, this seems oddly familiar. We've been here before. People want to see this change. You remember, I can't remember what the exact patch was. It was maybe about a year ago. It felt like the perfect patch, right? Almost every hero is being picked. We were in a golden place. And then it just got switched up. The game was just broken again. And there's just this whole notion that people want something new. They keep wanting something new. And this is spices of something new with familiar faces, right? With the Tide countered by the OD. OD versus Razor mid should be interesting here, though.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. And one of my big concerns is going to be, it was the series against Pango that I was watching, by the way. I finally remembered where Magical was against, he was a Viper, and he was against an OD and a very strong roaming Earth Spirit mid. And he really struggled in that game. And in this one, different hero, but he's kind of in a similar circumstance where he's going to really have to respect the roaming potential of the Yamich Spirit Breaker, especially potentially, with an Ion Shell and a Surge put on him going into that. And I don't know that the Elder Titan is going to be enough to relieve the pressure. I think an Enchantress, that's where you start asking whether this hero can sort of relive her roles in meta's past, because you go all the way back to the beginning in Dota 2, and one of the very first things that Puppey used to love to do with Enchantress is just screw with the mid player. So I would expect Seneko to really make Iceberg's life a little bit miserable, but that's where you ask the question. The cooldown on enchant got changed, but the duration got changed too. And so if you want to, you can't just like AFK send a Wild Wing to harass mid anymore. You have to go find another creep a lot more frequently.
True. It feels like the changes to Enchantress was more focused on in-lane aggression with Enchant and dispelling than it was on controlling creeps.
Which is why I still kind of... Which is why when I read that change, I was thinking to myself that it was going to be offlane Enchantress that came back. Now, it might be wrong. But I really am... I mean, Seneko on this Na'Vi team he's one of, if not your big-time playmaker alongside Crystallize, and you wonder how much impact he's going to be able to have on this 4-position Enchantress.
I mean, that's the thing. It's interesting you say the offlane Enchantress. I felt like that was a big thumbs up more to the POS 5 Ench than anything else, right? Because you directly counter the most popular picks in terms of supports at the moment, and you can actually use that enchant to constantly harass on the lane anyway.
Okay. Like I said, this is one of those things, and even most of the top teams will tell you that, you know, they read patch notes and they have ideas, but you never really know until you start getting into scrims and even into officials.
Yeah. No, it's fair. It's fair that you can look at it. I see where you come from your perspective. It's like the problem I see with it is, as an Ench, you really want those points in both the Nature's Attendant and the Untouchable if you're the offlaner, right? So you can sustain by yourself. Sure.
No, that's going to be... That's always sort of the issue of Enchantress is, as an offlaner, she's a little bit skill hungry. You know, the max untouchable build is really what brought offlane Enchantress into the foreground in the first place.
Yeah, a lot harder to achieve now with the change.
Magical with a little bit. This is interesting. Magical really kind of whiffed on his block, but it's going to end up that we're under tower because of that. So the mid lane dynamics are going to be a little bit rubber bandy for the first few minutes here.
I mean, you say whiff. He knew we were watching. He just wanted to make it interesting from our perspective, right? And what better way than wink, wink, screwing up your block?
Well, it's weird. It's probably not that big a deal because of how early it is, but man, you sort of worry about doing this against a Spirit Breaker big time.
That's
you
true.
Don't want to have waves rubber banding under towers when you're the one that's against the Spirit Breaker.
Yamik.
Yeah, that was... You caught that. That was interesting.
I was like, okay, he's standing here. This is an interesting place to be. I thought he was just going to try and get the Iron Shell from Non-Grata and then just chill at that, but yeah, that was expensive for nothing, really. I mean, you got the pull off, but it's okay. Both teams can play by the side of the lane like this. It's a cozy place.
I'm glad pulling is back, though. I missed that. I think that's a big... I don't know. A lot of people probably disagree with this, but I thought pulling was one of the reasons that it was satisfying to play support in pubs.
Sure, it gave you something to do if you weren't a brawler.
Exactly, and the fact that for at least one patch, you know, if not a couple, pulling was just sort of de-emphasized. Just felt really unsatisfying to me.
I also love this kind of difference of dynamic in the bot versus top lane that you can play around on either side of the map, right? It's like, from the pulling perspective, bot lane is really golden for both sides now. We're nerding out too much about bot. We don't notice top as Oracle goes down. Caught out pretty far away from the Luna here.
Yep. That is something that we've seen a problem with a lot of these Oracles, that with so many of the supports now being tanky and melee, you know, you feel very squishy. And 300 movement speed, this is a thing that I predict we're going to be talking about a lot in these games. That it used to be that if you were a ranged hero with 300 movement speed, you know, without boots, you felt very safe. And that is no longer going to be the case in this patch, with a lot of the very threatening melee core's movement speed getting buffed.
Yeah, not to mention Windlace can just stack you up pretty high on top of that. I think that like Windlace is super value for anything under 300 now, with that plus 20 flat.
All right. Magical 4 CS behind in the mid lane here, but he does get off a nice drain with a salve. He's got about 100 damage to play with. Should be able to close some of that gap.
Gonna move in. He stamps on the Blizzy. Chu tries for the race car movement. A little bit too late. All right. Looks like we actually will get on the BTS channel as intended. I'm expecting a stream key for in the next 2-3 minutes, so then we'll switch it up then.
Okay. Okay, and are we going to switch to that mid-match, or are we going to wait until game 2?
That's what I'm deciding. I don't know. What do you think? I feel bad about switching midway through, but it's like, I don't know. It's what technically it's what we get paid for.
It is what we get paid for, but honestly, I think that's on them. And
yeah, continuity. We'll wait until the game is done, then we'll switch across.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things this Darkseer and Spiritbreaker dual offlane has just abjectly failed in putting any form of pressure on Crystallize early. I mean, he's leading the board in CS.
I mean, how do you pressure with this Enchantress? Look what happens every time. It's not exactly expensive either. 40 costs for level 1 enchant.
Yeah, I agree, and that's one of those it's early yet, but you may be right. With the 0-2-1 build, Seneko has really shut this down.
I don't know if I really feel bad about Darkseer being a hero that can barely depict now. Just because there's additional counters. Oracle again? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, they're not going to chase under tower. They were tempted.
That's the power of the Elder Titan, and I'll shout out to Yanni. Fogged was on this from the get-go. The minute the patch came out, he was messaging people like ET's a hero, ET's top tier, and you know, by like the second day, I shouldn't say the end, by the second day at Chongqing, EG was like, "Yep, Fogged was right." So, yeah.
See, the one that I've noticed, the one for me right now is Ursa. Ursa everywhere. Like
that no, Lifestealer. Lifestealer is
True. The max HP change, that's pretty insane.
Get used to your, not just that, but the 15, like, there's a reason that I think the first pure race car builds that we saw in Pro that were meta were on Nyx, Lifestealer. 15 base movement speed buff to that particular hero is insane.
True.
Here we go. Charge move on to mid.
Magical
sniffs it out, though. He has not had the same kind of problems that he had against the Pango Earth Spirit combo yesterday. Very good for him in this lane.
Also, wait, is the clarity... Okay, the clarity actually persisted despite the bash. Interesting. I think that might be a bug.
Yeah, it definitely is. Bash does...
I mean, it does damage.
No! Well, wait.
Because you do the greater bash, right? Oh.
Yeah.
And then that move speed is calculated as damage.
Right. Okay.
So it must be a very unique type of damage that is not being calculated. That's weird though. I've never seen that before. It's not really something you see too often, notice. And meanwhile, I spoke in the mid lane. He already used Astral. No way he gets away.
Man, Magical's really turned this around. I was worried after that initial block, but. You know, 22 with 15 denies.
Oh, they got on Crystallized though.
That OD.
They couldn't get him.
Oh.
They got one more bash. He was done for. But courtesy of the Ring of Health, he's going to be fine. And there we go. Nature's Attendant just heal him up and come straight back to hitting.
There you go. And a smart move there by Nangrad and Yamich. The minute that they see Seneko commit to that move mid, they move right in on Crystallized. But you know, Crystallized, as you should be, is ready for that.
We should have a really close series. This is kind of a preview of the type of things you can see because, like, these teams get it, right? I've seen plenty of teams that I've cast in the last few weeks who will just do this whole AFK in the brain motion, right? Where you see someone die in another lane, right? And you TP there after they're dead. You don't try and kill someone somewhere else, right? You don't try and do a trade for trade. You just go to the lane, sit there and go, damn, if only I had been here sooner. I'll hang around, though, because when my mid comes back after a 4-second TP, maybe we can do something.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting out here up top. Silent getting aggressive on about 50% HPs. Forced to as he feels like he needs to contest this camp. But look at that.
Oh, my God. No, they get him. Beautifully done. The turnaround.
Have you seen
it? And while that's happening, Darkseer... Okay, Nongrada, I think he's confused right now. I don't know if he knows which side of the map he's on.
Okay, what in the world?
That's pretty deep, right?
What in? Yeah, that's not your base, buddy.
Like, shove on a scuba kit because this guy's diving deep, and I'm not even sure what for. Like this, he's almost got his helmet dominator, but well, he's not gonna get any closer. He's got the surge to try and get away from Enchant. Magical makes the rotation.
What are we doing here?
Well, I'll tell you what we're doing. We're putting our TPs on cooldown, and we're gonna have a nice walk back to lane. with no boots.
But he knew Razor. What? I'm so confused.
They've got the ward. They have the ward mid. He should have known what was coming.
Exactly.
Wow.
Oh my. All right. Well,
this is turning a little bit rough for Winstrike. I mean, the only one that's not doing great is Tide. Well, no, Tide is doing fantastic, actually. Like, 43 CS. Everyone on NaVi is, you could argue, winning their lane right now. I mean, Razor through different means, but it's working out.
And what the... I mean, come on. Winstrike. We have empty lanes. Like, this should never happen here.
True.
You have creeps dying under tower, and no one is there to soak that XP.
Or you're going to have Spirit Breaker dying near the tower. He's got the charge coming off cooldown. He needs to make his escape just in time. They'll move forward. Stomp, though. Oh, it doesn't connect. Lizzie diving. Ravage does come out on the 2. He's going to connect. Silent, getting low. Should fall. Magical. Chasing forward. Looking for the additional kill. Blizzy goes down, but Misha should fall too. And he does use the false promise.
Still chasing.
I mean, he is.
Look at that.
This is the other thing I love seeing. It's like the new slows. Some of them are pure gold as well. Have you tried Venomancer against Spirit Breaker yet?
No, I have not.
There is nothing more enjoyable than galing a charging Spirit Breaker and walking away as a very slow Veno quicker.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, there's a form of sweet revenge in that. So Vlad's coming out, yeah, including post-nerf, still a ridiculously strong item. I do think we're going to see a little bit of a movement back to the AoE initiators, but to the Blink Dagger initiators, rather. But aura items are still extremely strong.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of weird to be in a scenario where you wanted to say Blink needs a minor buff. In that no one wanted to go Blink early on because, I mean, the way I kind of had it put to me, I think Liz put it to me, is, you know, you don't want to get Blink because then you feel this immense pressure to just use it all the time. And
well, that's all. I mean, yeah, that's always been the case. But again, it's about, you know, not to sound too much like an economist, but it's about the opportunity cost. As Iceberg is committed to this rotation here up top, and really nothing is
yeah, but it's full defensive. I mean, they're charging through now, but the Stomp connects on the free. They're going to turn around, look to kill Misha. He does Rue up, looking in. Enchantress getting low. Iceberg will get the final touch. Magical is sapping a lot of damage, though. They need to be careful. That static link is added off. They're going to try and move away. Silent getting low. Yamish stand his ground. There's a charge forward. Magical.
Nice
Astral onto him. Elder Titan needs to do something soon. Misha charging up the room in place, and when he comes out, Magical should fall as well. Iceberg does go down, courtesy of all the little golems.
Okay, and Magical does get the XP for that.
And imagine if your OD actually had leveled his Astral there. His Sanities, rather. That would have maybe been a cleaner fight.
No kidding.
I mean, he's level 8.
I know the multiplier got changed a little bit, but come on.
Like against these heroes, just to reduce the mana alone. Like if you can actually make sure the Enchantress has nothing, or the Elder Titan has nothing, so he can't get out Stomp, makes all the difference.
Yeah. And you saw, by the way, one of the things about the support Enchantress there, 0 points in Untouchable still. So she dies to that OD very, very quickly.
Yeah, you kind of accept your role in the team. Just stand behind someone big and strong and heal them up. Speaking of big and strong, Crystallize looking great right now. And this is a big thing to focus on. That was a 2-for-1 trade in top, but Anti-Mage was split pushing the whole time.
Yeah, this game is really starting to look not in a good place for Winstrike. This AM, they've done absolutely... I mean, there's been long stretch of times where there's just been no dire hero on the bottom right. What the...
Oh, they are not learning. I think he just TP'd out into a Storm. This is a series of... I'm not even going to say unfortunate events. This is a series of confusing events coming out from Winstrike. I mean, first game of the day, I think they might have some of the same difficulties waking up as I do, apparently. Yeah, this looks bad. Tidings indeed. This tier 1 tower should be fallen. The Magical does have the static link. Natus needs to be careful. They're going to back away, though. They're going to show some respect to Winstrike as they do see ODs back up and alive. Now, I mean, Tide has the Vlads as well.
Oh, yeah.
This is a sad part, right? This is the one lane that looked okay for Winstrike. They were finding kills. Oh, sorry. They were losing heroes, but they weren't losing their Luna, right? She was always farming. But it's not mattering. She's actually going to be too late to her items at this rate. Oh, way too late, especially when you compare the rate at which the AM is farming. And that's the thing that, I mean, Yamich needs to be careful here. He is level 6, but
we're not long off the fact. We're not long off the time where him charging into the anti-mage solo is going to become a very, very bad idea.
Yeah, but don't forget, this is an anti-mage. It doesn't matter, right? You saw what happened. He got charged on. He just goes back to hitting creeps. That's all he wants to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, he'll probably hit creeps even when you charge onto him and keep attacking him. By the way, that smoke did get spotted out. There was a deep ward for Winstrike. That's a consolation prize. I don't know if they can defend this mid. They're going to try, though. They're stacking up now. Problem is Razor. He forces them to TP, and they're charging across now back from the base, but they're going to be a little bit too late. Speedy race car at 395 movement speed already.
Yeah, Navi doesn't necessarily want... The only reason that you can get away with defending that tier 1 tower now is that Anti-Mage does not want to join the engagements quite yet.
No, he's got his Battle Fury.
If AM decides, even with just a naked Battle Fury here, you know, he's got one Wraithband and Treads. He could decide to join one of these.
Magical, block, comes out, stands the Eclipse, gets rid of Seneko. Magical will fall as well to the Astral. Don't worry, that's 2 heroes dead and an anti-mage still farming.
Yeah, that shouldn't have happened, okay? If you're gonna... I was just getting ready to say, I think that AM here, even with just the one Wraithband and Treads, could join one engagement given where he was farming. Just, I mean, he's level 12, right? You know, you've got your plus 20 attack speed talent. I mean, I realize you're geared very much toward farming, but you can go ahead and join one engagement, catch him off guard, take that mid tower. But if you're not going to fully commit to that move, I think you gotta stick to playing footsie while the AM gets one more item.
Yeah, you need at least... I think it's not the wrong call for Crystallize to keep doing this as well. You want at least the Mantis style, because you got to keep in mind what you're up against, right? Like Winstrike, they've got the charge. They can use a Never Strike on you.
It's absolutely, it's fine. You don't want AM to die, you idiot.
And Yamik might die in the top lane. The Earth Splitter comes out, zones the rest of them away. Ruin to free doesn't matter, though, because that was quickly charged and quickly thrown.
Yeah, that was a zoning splitter, and that's absolutely fine in the situation. This is what you want to do, again, playing for Protect 1, is you want to, when you have a chance to isolate one hero and get that quick pickoff, that just arrests the flow of the game.
I think that's another interesting thing about Other Time. Like, we were talking about it earlier, and how Giannis was quickly on it. And this hero is going to be God mode. It was kind of also enabled already towards the changes to the map, right? Like, there's a lot more choke points now, it feels like. A lot more crucial choke points, in fact. Tower does fall. This time, Na'Vi come and they claim the head of the tier 1. I'm wondering if they're going to look towards Roche anytime soon. Because you've got the Vlads, you have got a tanky Tide. I think your AM needs at least one big item more before you can actually look towards that. And then...
I mean, I don't think so, because I think the last thing you want to do, again, unless you're going to commit the AM.
Oh, Ravage coming
nice
out.
Ravage here.
Catch the mobile heroes, non-grata, protected by the false promise. Yamik going to be left behind. Never Strike cancels it out, just trying to move away. They bait him Magical, they vacuum him back and finish him off. Razor, he thought he was stronger than he was. And they Astral onto the Tide Hunter, who has no escape mechanisms either. We'll try and cover him with a Stomp. It might be enough to get him away. They're going to charge forward, though. Yamik was waiting all along. Lizzie has
tanky,
no way out.
He's not that tanky, although Yamish better be careful too. This is the thing, you don't... Na'Vi, it's going to sound like I'm nitpicking here, and I kind of am, but they're just committing a little bit too hard to these moves here.
They've drunk the Kool-Aid a little bit too hard. They believe in the AM needs more space and distractions to farm when he doesn't. He's fine to just do what he's doing.
Yeah. The thing is, I mean, creating space is not always about taking objectives, it's about threatening objectives. And you don't need to hard commit to these moves when there's literally zero chance that you're going to bring the AM. This is, again, it's just sort of you think about it in a game theory sense, right? Committing to those moves is very effective when there's at least some threat that you might bring the AM with that big Monovoid and his level 15.
True. And then look at the net worth now. Look at the swing. Winstrike, Zeros are getting back in this. Both the OD and the Luna are now above the other two cores of Na'Vi.
Yeah, and again, this was the problem that Virtus Pro had for years before they became a top team. Is you're going to see the Dire Scan connect a little bit on top of that shrine, may give them a little bit of a false sense because that's only Seneko that it clipped. But they know that at least one hero is up there, so they're going to continue their push down to the tier 2 tower. Anyway, this is the problem that Virtus Pro had for a long time, is that you need to play methodically sometimes. And they had a tough time turning that aggression off. TP defense here to the top tier 2 tower on the Dire side, which is almost dead. And boy, look at this. Look at this as Navi, right? You're playing 4 protect 1, and you're still coming out ahead on these trades.
Seneko gonna try and run away. NaVi's gonna be the back. Can he escape though? He moves pretty fast. Full star forward from Iceberg should be enough to secure the deal.
Oh, still 0 and untouchable.
Nature's attendant is buying time though. Still gonna go down. They have to work hard for it though.
Yeah. That is you having to work hard for a kill on the Enchantress with 0 points and untouchable. And again, look at the bottom tier 2 Radiant versus Dire tier 2 top. You know,
and consider
Navi came out very much ahead.
That's something. Consider the importance between these two as well. The tier 2 top is over double the value in terms of what you can do off the back of that. Like you take the bot tier 2, what does it really open up to you? Nothing.
Well, it's a little bit more significant in this game than it would be because it does let you throw the AM's farm a little bit more effectively, especially when you're a Spirit Breaker. But yeah, in general, you're absolutely right. That upper left, the biggest symmetry in the Dota 2 map is the Roche Pit, right? The upper left quadrant on the map is way more significant than the lower right.
And that's the thing, is the Radiant team, you want to actually play in the Dire jungle anyway. So if you're given early control and access to that area, you will take that. You'll abandon your own jungle because it's not like there's more gold to be gained in this bottom quadrant. Unless you can somehow invade Dire's triangle, which is probably the hardest area in the map to take control of if you're Radiant anyway.
Yeah.
Other than the throne, okay? But we tend to like exclude the base from these.
We might get Blizzy, Seneko. This could be cool. This is a reasonable wraparound. This is a high value kill.
He can't get away either.
Worth committing because AM is here, baby.
He arrived, and this time they'll take him down. And you saw what he was doing. You saw straight away, right? Sounds like if I clear the creep waves, I can use an Eclipse. Maybe. Sadly, not quick enough. Crystallize. I mean, you wouldn't expect it, right? It's been 20 minutes. Yes, AM's been farming, but he's never been turning up to these really aggressive moves from Na'Vi that have been backfiring. Oh, charge through. Going on a magical. Stomp. Does connect on one. BKB activated by Iceberg. They're just going to try and zone him out and move away. Earth Splitter does come out in the Oracle. They're going to backstab here. Crystallize moving in. Vacuum 1 to 2. They might move through. Yamich holding the Never Strike. They do get rid of Bambi again. Enchantress not feeling so lucky. Magical moving back in though. Looking to charge through. Gonna be a charge coming in from Yamich. Just stone them in. Hold them in the wall. Never Strike. Batches them back. But moving forward. Crystallize. Looking on Non-Grata. Wants a target. Gets himself in the Astral. Manta comes out. Iceberg gonna keep running away. In the meantime, Yamich will finally fall to Magical. Non-Grata does surge away. Crystallize not able to make contact with another kill.
That's fine though. He played that fight really, really well. He played around the edges of the fight, zoning the heroes of Winstrike away from his teammates, preventing them from connecting to the engagement, and he was also putting himself consistently in positions of very low threat.
True, and it should be pointed out that was the 10-second BKB for Iceberg as well. So that's a huge investment on Winstrike's behalf to still lose multiple heroes. Yeah,
he popped it pretty early on too. I mean, I guess you because Navi had the threat of the Ravage, which is still up by the way, and all these stomps. You have the threat of this kind of zoning disable that makes the opposing core think about popping BKBs prematurely.
And there it is, by the way. The Vlad's there with the second item on the anti-mage. They go straight into the Roche Pit. And I mean, you got Silence Eclipse, but there's no real way to interrupt this. And you know what's going on. They've scanned for it as well.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think, again, until you win that one big engagement there, I think Roche is...
Oh, Ravage? They came to the pit.
Oh,
they're split. They're arriving now. Maybe a little bit too late. Non-Grata going to be stomped up and killed off with the Mana Void. Charging from Yamik, trying to buy time for his team. Eclipse does come out on the Blizzy. But he can tank the whole damn thing with a Hood of Defiance. Moving forward, Crystallize is on the chase. In the meantime, Yamik gives his life. BKB comes out. Sans clips down. Chew being chased away. But the static link across will zone him out as Magical moves forward. There's going to be a TP wait. Iceberg just about gets out. A little bit too close for comfort, and AM still hunting for more. Misha knows he can't escape this. He's got the false promise to work with. Do you want to use it? He'll throw it out just to die. Or does he? Crystallize doesn't want to dive the tier 3 for it. He says, okay,
yeah, and why
not first?
That's really... Come on, Winstrike. We got to clean this up, okay? You got to have that clock, that Roche clock in your head.
I mean, that was baffling as well. Like, they weren't prepped to go to the pit. There was no smoke movement. They were still split. La Luna was closer to the shrine than she was to her OD.
And that's going to be that's going to be Roche and likely 2 tier 2s, and the one sort of dent in Navi's armor that you could have pointed to. Seneko says bye bye.
Well,
you know, the one dent in the armor. was that the AM was so far out in front, and it looked like the Razor and the Tide might be falling behind Iceberg and the Luna on the side of Winstrike. But you know, that tower gold, the gold from Roshan, even though it's much less than it used to be, is going to fix that problem.
And by the way, you can see, like, this is a Spirit Breaker that is definitely scared for his life. He had the Bulldoze, but he didn't want to commit it because he was worried about follow-up after the Enchantress dies. Like,
and how sad are you as Silent? You are furiously farming single stack camps down here in the Radiant Jungle, sort of waiting on spawns, you know, just trying to get that last 300 gold for your BKB.
Meanwhile, Crystallize is taking 200 gold creeps. So, Yule's in the bot lane.
He's got a Yule. He's in trouble.
Silent.
This is,
no way out. He's going to fall here. 50 seconds dead. That's another 50 seconds the AM will farm. And this is the other thing you said about this, the single stacks, right? Is in Winstrike's own jungle, they'd made a few stacks. But AM was the one that cleaned them up. It just accelerated him.
Oh, yeah. That's the disappointing thing here from Winstrike is they have not had any control on this anti-mage from minute 0. He's just done whatever he wanted to in lane and around the map now, and he's got a DD rune. He's like, hello.
Spooky. Just back away. He's getting close to that butterfly. They'll at least purge it off. The true powerful. This is the real reason for all the dispels, Nahaz. All
there
these players, they heard what you were saying about DDs.
Trigger me? Yeah, I like it. I like it.
You know what you got to play, right? Later on, we'll hop in. You can play some Enchantress or some, maybe you get yourself some Oracle. There's options.
You know, I actually, that's on my list. I need to really figure out
Ravage. They jump straight in. OD down to half HP already. He's going to use the BKB. Maybe too late. False Promise does protect. Turns around, stands Eclipse. It's a big fight to keep them live. Back was huge. It might be enough. The Aegis gets popped. Moving in with the Eclipse. Silent. Going to chase down. We'll get the kill on the Tidehunter. And Crystallize coming back up into a mess. We'll look to blink away. Chu will make his escape for the top lane. And Winstrike, they finally hold. Stomp.
Wow. That Sanities did more than I thought, as they're going to get another kill here on the end. And this is what you were saying earlier, puzzled as to why Iceberg had put off scaling that Sanity. These are low int heroes on the side of Na'Vi, even with only the level 2 Sanity Eclipse and only 16 intelligence stolen at the very end of the fight. The Sanities there did massive work. Yeah, you look at the day. Actually, interesting. I think my fight recap is bugged. Yeah, it definitely is. Shoot.
I haven't got mine up.
What have you got? Come on, Dota.
Is it not showing the right damage for the OD?
Oh no, it was showing like, you know, a couple hundred damage from the Oracle leading the fight. So that's a useful tool.
Nice. You know, it'd be nice if there was actually like a back last 3 engagements option on that sort of feature, right? Because sometimes there's a kill at the end of the engagement, and you click it, and you're like, okay.
It's one of the things I'm trying to get JJ to do with Lareth is introduce like a dynamic fight recap tool, and I it's one of those things I'm hesitant to ask him to do that because, you know, you don't want to piss off Valve.
Misha? Misha? What are you doing here, buddy? He's being found. That's what's happening. They're real Banny Mage, but he's going to protect himself, and Misha getting super low. Mana Void finishes him off. Crystallize will just blink away. Oh, Stomp's going to come out. Connects onto 1. Didn't catch Iceberg, though, so they're in full retreat. Or are they? They've got reinforcements coming in. The backstab coming up from Magical is going to be an attempt, but the Surge to get him away. Can't catch the OD, but they will catch the Spirit Breaker. As he goes down, Non-Grata being chased onto next. Astral protects him for the moment, but that's more static link damage. Magical says thank you very much. Chases forward with the Yules. Does connect on Iceberg, but decides against it. As his team is too busy finishing off Non-Grata.
I mean, I'm not going to say turn out the lights, the party's over, but that dimmer switch is at least way, way, way down.
Well, so's the healthier buildings as they enter the base and they continue the work. The good work of the Na'Vi rats. And they do enough here. They've got the Butterfly and Crystallize now. He's pretty spooky. Na'Vi, they actually remain composed. They're not pushing their luck here. They're respecting what happened last time they were on the high ground.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? There's no, this is the thing is, okay, it's going to sound like so simple and people are going to flame me for it. But I mean, you know, the 2 people that are watching anyway, a lot of Dota is recognizing when there's no pressure on you. Don't force moves when you're in a position where if you just stay the course and be smart, you're going to win the damn game.
I mean, we've seen this in the most recent years, like the change from these 5-man black hole occurrences to maybe you catch one person. Like the discipline that's essentially there with tier 1 and tier 2 teams.
Look, that's why I've been just utterly addicted to Dota and just can't stop watching replays from these pro teams, is that teams of the strategic decision making has gotten so much better. teams are much more correct in their valuation in terms of when it's worth using these spells, what objectives is worth pressuring. Misha is going to give himself up here. That's absolutely fine.
He's TPing away. They have no way of stopping it. He's fine. He's going to salve up. He's going to live.
Disables.
There we go. It's a little bit close for comfort, but he stays alive.
Did you not? What happened? They
opened.
I thought Magical was in Yule's range, but
no, he's a little bit too far away by the looks of it. All right, interesting. False Promise is on cooldown though. The problem is it's not the biggest cooldown at level 2. 65 seconds. Maybe long enough to push in.
Here's something embarrassing that I'll admit. I still have never gotten used to colors on the minimap. I still turn the hero icons on.
I always use hero icon. I think it's better. Everyone.
Do you really? Okay.
Everyone involved, it's better. BKB's magical. Ravage does come in. BKB's on OD already. Animate's moving forward. Gonna stun him up. Getting low on HP. OD needs to move away quicker than this. Buyback comes out. Spirit Breaker. Eclipse has been used, well, I'd say pretty defensively about Nahaz. Because they're just being zoned out by the Manta illusions from the anti-mage.
And there's the Yules for...
And speaking of the AM, he's going in. Oh, wow, the Never Strike. He switches over to Yamich. Blink away. Yamich has no Never Strike anymore, so on cooldown. They're going to chase them away. They need to be careful. They come any further out the base, they're going to be turned on.
Exactly. And both sides know that. This was
no, they don't know that.
Engagement correctly.
Okay, Yamich, he overstayed his welcome. He went a little bit too far forward.
Dude?
Where are the aggressive pings from his own team here? Crystallized moves in, zones him out. The Manta's going to be out again. Iceberg does use the side steps. Crystallize getting low on HP. Yule to protect and move away. AM going to be backing back though. Can they get the touch? No! They hit the wrong target. Iceberg stays alive with a false promise, and Seneco's going to get low. Chasing forward. Blizzy hiding in the trees. Does have the blink if he wants to come out, but he's a little bit too scared to show himself. And for all that, you still lose your Spirit Breaker. You give over a slab of Kobe beef, and you get nothing for him.
Well, again, the surprise there was that Navi balled a little bit on the re-engage. Again, that's part of the power of the Darkseer with that vacuum. And the Sanity's Eclipse, once again, just devastating. I mean, you see why the OD is still going to be a top-tier hero in this patch.
Yeah, despite the nerfs to it, against a lot of popular heroes who do not tend to build int, you can actually just ruin their ability to fight. I mean, we saw the AM, right? If he had a blink available to him, he maybe switches around, does something. But without that, he was in panic mode.
Do you go sheep on OD here? I'm not sure.
I think you can. Like, I think you just need the additional lockdown.
Against the AM when you don't have blink, I'm not sure you go naked sheep anymore. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's fine. It's an in item, but it's an interesting theory crafting exercise that with the counterspell active, when AM is going to be able to sort of know when you're walking up to him with the intent to hex. I think that hex loses a lot of value in this particular situation.
I think it's especially good against the Razor though. Like that's the way you can look at it as well, because
it's fine. Although Razor is just, again, I mean, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. What I missed in that, Razor's got his BKB, right? But he's farmed enough that I think he's reasonable as a priority target. Okay.
I mean, you could maybe argue it's a little bit early from the logic that Razor still has a 9-second BKB, but the other way you can look at it is he gets his static link out, he's already used his BKB, at the end of it, you just sheep him, and he gets no value, right?
By the way, let's also praise this this Razor's item build. This is the tryhard build that you get flamed for going in pubs, but it's such a great build for this game. The Force Yule's BKB.
You mean you don't just build Mask of Madness?
He understands his role.
No mom, and just run people down? I thought that was the pub stomper build.
Oh my gosh. You're going to make me, right up there with Rich Campbell, wards don't do damage. Oh my god. Well,
it's called a ward. It's meant to give vision, right?
Oh, double smoke here. Team's passing the night. I think Navi's going to be pretty good. Oh,
Blizzy
backs off.
He hesitates, though. He had the use of the Ravage, and that's too late. He's going to throw it out with double BKB coming out. They're going to be fine. They're going to stand up against the Eclipse. Going to be there. Blizzy's going to fall. They already get rid of the Spirit Breaker. Overflow through will zone them out. Silence been left behind, though. The Luna abandoned. And despite the messy start to that fight for Na'Vi, it looks like they're taking control now. Iceberg being chased away. The Hex comes out in the AM. Can they do enough to him? The Yule's going to be there, though. Magical. He zones in. He hones in. Iceberg has no way out. He astrals himself. But this is a Hex build, not a Blink. And that is a screw you Santa's Eclipse if I've ever seen one.
And that's fine. But this is one of those where if Na'Vi are well coached, it doesn't matter that you won that fight 5-1. If Navi are a well-coached team, they need to look at this replay, and Blizzy needs to see that mistake. Because Smoke broke, he had his blink off cooldown, he had a perfect Ravage setup, and he just hesitated.
He had full vision as well.
Exactly. He's way too good a player to... I don't care what happened in the fight after that. He is way too good a player to make that play. And those are the kind of things that, as a good team, you have to be meticulous in analyzing your own replays and say, doesn't matter that we won the fight, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how dominantly you played in the game, there's always something to improve on. Folks, absolutely. Educational lesson from us, all right? We're going to take royalties from you when you become a pro player. If you want to improve, always find something to improve. It doesn't matter how great of a game you had, whether it's you missed some CS or you failed a gank rotation at 5 minutes. You done something wrong. You're not perfect. Sorry to burst your bubbles.
All right, yeah, this game's been over for a while, and Navi has to feel a bit better after what I think was a disappointing loss to them to Pango yesterday. Although Pango and Gambit both, I think, are.
I mean, come on. Pango are pretty scary. I mean, despite the upsetting performance in Chongqing, I'd say a big part of that due to the fact they didn't have Zayats.
You didn't have your best player, man.
Yeah. And that's
King RD's fine, but Zayats is special.
Yeah,
and
by
the way, I want to see Zayats and Blizzy on the same team again, by the way. But, you know, that's just me.
I mean, there's plenty of people who want to see different things. No, everyone's expecting Zayats to...
That's so diplomatic.
I know. I've heard many different opinions on people they do or don't want to see him with. I mean, you know, some people are not fans of Slayer plus Zayats. But, of course, at the same time, they're, like, best buds.
I was just going to say, like, I thought...
Like, no, they like playing together. Like, some people that think the mentalities don't match, though.
Yeah, those
fight going on here, by the way. BKB's active on either side. Yamich is going to go down. Blizzy moving in. Has got the Ravage available. Iceberg needs to get away because the BKB's running out. His BKB's already gone. Chew with his own BKB on this ET.
Yeah, nice. I didn't even notice that.
I mean, you don't expect to see it. I know we're 35 minutes in. It's looking pretty dominant, but there's the Ravage going to come out. Clips under one. Non-Grad is dead as the GG comes out. The Earth Splitter to celebrate a victory as game one goes the way of NaVi.
Okay. Report cards for this game. So it's hard to draw conclusions because I do think Winstrike made some strategic blunders. You have to be pretty happy with what you got out of this 4-position Enchantress, especially just she. You know, your hypothesis about the 5-position Enchantress is looking even better right now, watching the way that she was able to completely lock down that bottom lane. Crystallize felt absolutely no pressure from what is in a lot of situations a very threatening Darkseer Spiritbreaker dual off lane. I think, you know, the top lane has to feel pretty good. You got the kills on Oracle early on. Luna never really got comfortable farming. No, I think Navi... You're going to take a lot of good away from that game.
Well, we actually have more to go on here, but first of all, we're going to switch across to the BTS channel, so stay tuned. This will fail to load the second game here. We'll be across on BTS 2, then switch across to BTS 1. We're finally getting where we need to be, guys, so we'll switch now. We'll see you there.